Mask wearing is also a political flashpoint under the Biden administration. The new president signed a number of executive orders on his first day in office, including a 100-day mask mandate on federal property, airlines, trains, and other transit systems while traveling between states. And according to a new study from researchers at UCLA, a nationwide adoption of face masks combined with other public health measures could not only reduce the spread of COVID-19 to essentially zero, but it could also save the U.S. economy $1 trillion. Here to explain how is CBS News Moneywatch reporter Aimee Picchi. Aimee, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
The UCLA study finds a national mask mandate could add $1 trillion to the nation's GDP. How would that happen exactly?
Well, how that would happen is a few ways. First of all, if there was universal adoption of mask wearing in the U.S., it would avoid lockdowns and other restrictions on business activity because the rates would be so low. One thing that we're seeing with the increase in rates across the U.S. is that communities are responding in a couple of ways. One of them is by instituting new restrictions on businesses, which we've seen in New York City and Los Angeles, for instance. And the other is consumers get nervous. They are worried about going out in public. They're worried about going shopping if there are high rates in their community. Another recent study from Washington University in St. Louis found that in states and communities where there are mask mandates, consumer spending was actually 5% higher, which indicates that consumers they feel better about going out in public. They're less concerned about becoming infected, given that there are mask mandates and they're seeing people around them wearing masks in public.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce said that it supports Biden's mask order, calling it a smart and practical approach. But is 100 days really enough to make an impact on the economy?
So that's the big question. And the other question is, because this is a mandate only in certain areas, federal properties, airlines, some modes of transportation, the experts I spoke to are questioning whether it's enough to make a significant impact on the economy. Of course, any impact is good and any improvement is helpful. But President Biden is issuing a challenge for Americans to wear their masks for 100 days. So, in general, people aren't being mandated to wear masks unless they live in states or communities where they have mask mandates. And there are 37 states with mask mandates currently. But the thing is, with the president saying, I'm challenging you to wear your mask for 100 days for the good of the economy, for the good of our health, public health, there are a certain percentage of people who will follow that. So it kind of remains to be seen. I mean, I think the Chamber of Commerce, it's reflecting a lot of what the business community is saying, that this makes sense. Please do this. Let's be safe and wear masks. And hopefully it will, in 100 days, help the economy and reduce the transmission rates.
So where does President Biden's mask order fall short?
Well, the thing is, it is limited. I mean, it's basically saying if you're a federal worker on federal property, you have to wear a mask. And wearing masks is now mandated on airplanes, interstate buses, and other forms of travel. But of course, travel is way down right now. I mean, people generally are still working at home. People aren't commuting as much as they did in public. So that's only a limited way of reducing spread. Like I mentioned before, 37 states have mask mandates, which means there are many that don't. And there is evidence that shows that states with a mask mandate had an infection growth rate that's 2 percentage points lower than the states that don't. So it does make an impact. And that's one thing that people will be watching very closely, is whether this mask mandate can actually put into effect a change in the infection rate and therefore help the economy.
Hiring fell in December. It was the first decline since the pandemic basically sort of leveled the job market in April. And so I'm wondering, just how much will COVID affect hiring long term?
Yeah, this is the big thing for the economy. I mean, what we're seeing right now in the latest jobless claims is that layoffs remain high. In the last week, jobless claims were almost 1 million. It's not coming down, and economists are saying that it's probably going to remain high until COVID becomes under control. And that's going to hopefully happen when the vaccines are more widely available later this summer and this fall. But until then, there's concern that the job market is going to remain in turmoil, in trouble. And a lot of the hardest hit industries are those like restaurants, bars, hotels, where people just aren't comfortable going out. They're worried about getting infected. And that trickles through into job losses. So that's something that's very concerning and something that President Biden is obviously concerned about and taking a look at with these mask mandates and other executive orders that he's making on his first few days.
Yeah, you got to wonder, even after we've sort of put this pandemic in the rearview mirror, that that so many businesses have shuttered, that those jobs may not come back, and even sort of the entire landscape of how we function has changed. How many people will end up going back into the office? So how many other businesses dependent on those individuals will not see the same robust return? It's going to be very interesting moving forward. Aimee Picchi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.